Welcome back to Amp It Up. My name is Donna Bowling, and I am excited to be having this solo episode with you all about content. You know they say content is king? Well, I'd like to say content is queen. Yes, queen. We are talking all about content. For any of you guys that are listening to this podcast or watching on YouTube, hi YouTube, I feel that the biggest struggle we have as entrepreneurs right now is time management, is a struggle around how to create all the content that we can create in the shortest amount of time, repurpose it to all the different places, get it out there for all the different audiences. And how do we do that with also having a job, maybe also seeing clients and also having to, do the actual paying amount of money. Doing it. What pays the bills. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about my work in progress, what I'm going through right now when it comes to creating content. And so one thing that I'd love to say really fast is if you are listening to this or watching this on YouTube or seeing this in any other capacity, I have a really, really cool new offer that is kind of a secret menu. It's like in and out, secret sauce. And I want to test it out with you guys. So if any of you are listening right now and you have a business, you make money, you know what you want to do, you know how to do it, but you are struggling to create the consistent amount of content, meaning you're struggling to come up with ideas for Reels, ideas for TikToks, ideas for tweets, ideas for LinkedIn posts, ideas for video content, ideas for stories, maybe ideas for Carousel posts or YouTube, podcasts, etc. I am your go-to content queen. Okay, I love creating content for myself. I love helping my clients figure out what kind of content to create for themselves. And I really, truly believe that sometimes what you need to do is you need to get out of your own little box, right? You need to get out of your own little circle when it comes to creating content and get out of your head. Right? A lot of times we come up with ideas and they just stay there, right? So I'm going to go through it in just a moment. So before I get into it, if you are interested in this very, very secret menu service, it's a one-on-one service. I am going to put a link in the show notes and you'll be able to reach out to me there. I think it's going to be a game changer for you. You can send me a DM on Instagram. We can figure something out, but I want to make sure that you realize this is coming, but I'm not telling the masses yet. So make sure that you get in there so I can handhold you and help you be your content coach, your accountability content coach. So, first of all, I want to give you guys a little bit of a background on my content journey. I didn't ever study how to create content. This is not something I ever knew what to do. I literally was a casting director. You guys know my journey already, hopefully. I was a casting director for many years and I never had to create any marketing content at all. We didn't have an Instagram account. We didn't have a Facebook page. We didn't have anything. We literally were employees of shows and studios and that's it. I had a resume. Okay, so no marketing there. And then when I started my own business, I started to create Instagram content in the form of posts, right? So I would create a static post of a picture of one of my clients and their journey, like a win, or I would pick some random quote on Pinterest or Instagram that I would see and I would copy and paste it. I wouldn't even create it in Canva, okay? I was just literally creating content, basically as basic as you can get. Right? I would take a picture of myself, like that's it. I never used video. That was the very beginning. And then in around 2018, I started to incorporate Instagram stories. So now Instagram stories came in where I started to share my journey behind the scenes. And that is where my business really took off. So once I started to realize that Instagram stories were big and people wanted to hear more, I then created a podcast, which then turned into a very, very top podcast. This is when I was working with actors. So now I had a podcast. Page, Instagram page, and I would repurpose content from the podcast in audiogram form. And that's when you see things like on stories or in posts where you see just like a static picture of a podcast with some sound coming out, like a little audio clip of it. That's it. I never recorded my podcast. I never used my video for podcasts at that time. So at the time, my business was growing, but I didn't really understand how many places you could show up. I'm just going to be honest, LinkedIn was always something that people would tell me to utilize and I never thought I should. I was on Twitter, but mostly just because I would use it to search trending topics sometimes, or I would write a tweet and then repurpose that as an Instagram post. But that's it. And this year in 2022, I really, really decided, you know what? I want to get more content in more places because my ideal client has shifted. My ideal client has shifted from a year ago. So a year ago, I was working with very, 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 very new business owners in their online journey to kind of get them to, take that first step. A lot of them still needed to figure out what they wanted to do. And then it slowly started into personal branding. So I started to work more with people that understood what they were doing, had a business, had a career, but weren't really sure how to show up more online as themselves. And now I am really, really starting to pivot towards entrepreneurs who not only know exactly what they want to do, but they are successful at what they want to do. But now they realize because maybe they want to start getting booked for speaking gigs, want to start getting booked for more public appearances. Maybe they want to write a book. Maybe they just want to start getting a little bit more of a digital presence. So I am helping successful entrepreneurs get online more and get their faces exposed, right? Get visible and start to build a brand around them. And so this is where this idea came from, because what happens is a lot of my clients come to me and they say, listen, I have content from here until, the moon. I know exactly what it is I talk about. I can tell you right now 500 ideas for content. The problem is that's all it is. It's an idea. So how do I take it from an idea to implementation? How do I actually take it from an idea and decide where do I want to show up with that content? Should it be a reel? Should it be a carousel post on Instagram? Should it be a LinkedIn, post or a Twitter thread? Should it be on Pinterest? Should it be a podcast episode? People don't really get where the idea can turn into all the different forms of content. And that is where I love to come in. So some of my favorite things that I do with my clients currently is just say one of them comes to me and she's a real estate agent and she says, I have a great idea. I want to talk about how to find new clients as a real estate agent in a very crowded market. But I don't really know what to do with that. So what I'll take her through is, okay, here's some trending songs on TikTok. Here's some trending video ideas on Reels. Let's create 4 or 5 real ideas, REEL, real ideas that you can now implement this idea into without having to just talk. Then in addition, let's take that and let's script out some story ideas that you can talk about in your stories. Also, let's take that and let's write a podcast episode or a YouTube video or maybe even a carousel post out of that one idea. But I help you strategize. I help you write the content. You have to go and film it and edit it. That's not my jam, but I help you with the creation of it. And I love writing captions. I love coming up with ideas for content. So it really does make sense for me. It's a great, great place for me to be. And I know that the need is out there. So if this is jumping out at you as something that you're dying to do, if you have made a decision to start showing up on all the platforms or at least on one of the platforms every single day and you're just struggling to keep up with it, I am the consistency content queen. Okay, so you come and reach out to me. Now, I want to share a little bit with you guys about what I have been doing in the last couple of weeks as I've been really starting my YouTube channel, which will be linked here in the show notes. And you can also watch me record this. I also, I have my YouTube channel. I have my podcast. I'm showing up on LinkedIn multiple times a week. I'm showing up on Twitter daily, Instagram daily, and I want to show up on TikTok daily. Okay, these are my goals plus emails. So there's a lot of content that needs to be created. And so here is what I am doing. Basically, the first step for anyone, and I'm going to make this super, super easy because I am starting to really kind of dive into multiple tools and apps, and I want to make sure, they're easy enough for you before I start letting you know which ones they are because there's so many out there. But some people really struggle, myself included, with like a Trello board or an Asana board for content creation. I want something easier. So I'm still trying to figure that out. If you have any ideas, let me know. Okay, so the first step I just use is Google Docs or a Notes app. That's it. I will take my Notes app or a Google Doc and I will just literally brain dump. I'm not brain dumping Reels, ideas, podcast ideas, TikTok. I am just brain dumping ideas. Okay. So for example, ideas right now are, and I'm literally pulling them up as I talk to you, 5 reasons you need to create more content, how I plan on including YouTube into my content creation, best practices for creating connection with your audience, what is my STAR method, how working as a casting director has taught me about A, B, and C, etc. So these are just random ideas of things that are coming to me based on, and how do I come up with these ideas from you guys, right? So when I'm coaching with you, when you're DMing me, when I'm watching your content, when I'm listening to you guys in Clubhouse rooms or in Twitter spaces or YouTube videos, I see you guys' problems. Another thing I do is I go to Answer the Public. Answer the Public is a great resource. So you can go and Answer the Public and you can figure out exactly what it is that people are searching. Answer the Public, if you go to answerthepublic.com, I can search the words personal branding and I can come up with 20 ideas right off the bat based on what you guys are struggling with. It's literally questions that people are asking on Google, etc. That being said, now I have all these ideas. What do I do with it? So I pull I'll pull one idea that jumps out at me, right? One idea that I'm like, oh, I feel pretty passionate about this, or people are asking a lot about this, or this is something I can throw together today, right? I don't have to do a lot of research or anything. So I will pull one of those ideas and I will pull it on a new piece of paper. I take it off the last piece of paper or I cross it off, whatever. I pull it on a new piece of paper so I'm not getting overwhelmed. Then I break it down into maybe 3 steps or 4 steps, right? Because most of these things are usually numerical. It makes it a lot easier when it comes up with when you come up with more of a training, like here are 3 ways, 5 ways. It's just a really great way to create content. So an example would be how I come up with content ideas, right? And so I can pull how I come up with content ideas into 4 steps. Number 1, listening to my audience. Number 2, answer the public. Number 3, researching other people's content on Instagram or Twitter or on YouTube. And number 4, listening on audio spaces or podcasts. 4 things right there. Okay. Now with those 4 things, I can decide to use that piece of content and create, because I do believe most content ideas can be created on all the platforms in different ways, because my audiences are kind of the same everywhere. They're just entrepreneurs looking to create more content and show up more online. So those 4 steps, if I start with a carousel post, I can now create the carousel post based on those 4 steps. It's very easy to do. I go into Canva and I just start importing on a template that I've already created before. And all I have to do then is write the caption, the long form caption under. I can also now create a reel, right? What kind of a reel? Well, that depends. I could go through and find some trending music one where I'm dancing, or I can just do one where I'm talking to the audience, or I can do one where I am pointing, which I really don't like. But there's a bunch of different trending ones that I could pick on. I could also do that exact same thing on TikTok, or maybe TikTok, I decide to break it up into 3 TikToks, right? Here's a great way to come up with content. And that's it. That's a TikTok. I can create 3 right off the bat and just post them one after another. You know, TikTok is very raw. It's very real. It's very unedited. Then I could take this and create a whole YouTube video, which I'll probably do. A whole YouTube video on here are 5 ways that I come up with content, right? Just speak it out. And then guess what? While I'm doing that YouTube video, I could also record it for the podcast. Or I could record a separate podcast coming up with the 5 ways I create content. All of a sudden now, and then LinkedIn, right? LinkedIn, you would usually, instead of just copying and pasting a YouTube video, it's about the caption. So for LinkedIn, you're going to want to connect it to your audience, saying, so many of us struggle to go online because we struggle with coming up with content. Here is a great way to come up with content. What would you add? Something like that, right? Twitter, I could create a Twitter thread based on this. And you know what else? From the YouTube video or from the podcast, I could also write a blog or an email. So from one idea, how I come up with content ideas turns into 4 or 5 steps, can turn into 5 pieces of content. It doesn't mean that it's done and easy. I still have to record it. I still have to edit it. I still have to write the captions. I still have to post it. But the hardest part is getting from in my head to on paper, right? And by on paper, I mean posted. And now I've already given myself a roadmap. So I want to help you guys do that. And I feel that if you guys are following me on Instagram, which why aren't you if you're listening to this, at This Is Donna Bowling, I offer my close friends. So you just have to tell me you want to be part of my close friends. I ask every once in a while. I offer the behind the scenes of the content strategy. Okay? So for an example, right now, I'm going on my Instagram. You guys, when you listen to this podcast episode, you will see it on my stories today. And I'm going on my Instagram and I'm saying right now, this is live, so this is like real, okay, hands-free. Hey, close friends, I just wanted to give you a little bit of a behind the scenes. I am literally using this microphone. I'm recording my podcast episode right here on this Rodecaster that I'm pointing to. You don't need a Rodecaster, by the way. It's just the way I do it because I use so many audio spaces. I'm also filming myself from Ecamm Live for the YouTube channel. Okay, I'm doing this at the exact same time. And I'm talking about creating content. And the episode will be out today. So that's how I'm doing it, guys. It's not that hard. Trust me, but I'm coming up with a system for you. So you're going to want to keep paying attention. That's it, guys. I created that for my Instagram stories. This is also another piece of content. Even though it's a smaller portion of people, I think I have 80 people under my close friends. It doesn't matter. It's still content. It's still nurturing content. In fact, that's like a jam. That's the jam, is like creating close friends because you start to really nurture your audience. Anyway, you guys, that is that for today's episode. I love talking about content. I love helping you with content. If you have any struggles with content on all the platforms, you reach out to me. My name is Donna Bowling, as you know, at This Is Donna Bowling on Instagram. If you're watching this on YouTube, you guys make sure to subscribe and comment and watch any of these other episodes that come on up in the playlist here. And I will see you guys next time.